Beyond the gym floor, an obesity and business pandemic. Now, this is an unofficial TED Talk. I have to get that bit in case I get sued. So here's my promise today with this talk. It's to avoid jargon, to not confuse you. It's to address the current state of the fitness business space. And it's to be transparent with my thoughts for the future. So before we go into all the details about personal training in the fitness business space, I want to take a trip back to the history of personal training, which I found interesting when I was researching this. So believe it or not, it goes all the way back to ancient times, which is interesting. Personal training can be traced back to ancient Greece, where athletes trained with their coaches called gymnastai to improve their physical fitness and performance. These coaches would develop personalised training programs based on each athlete's strengths and weaknesses, and would also provide nutritional advice. Then we look at the 19th century. In the 19th century, physical culture became popular in Europe and the United States. This movement promoted the idea that physical fitness was essential for a healthy life and encouraged people to engage in physical activities like gymnastics, calisthenics, and weightlifting. Then we go to the 20th century. In the early 20th century, personal training as we know it today began to emerge. In 1912, American fitness pioneer Bonnie Pruden started teaching exercises to improve posture and relieve muscle tension. In the 1930s, bodybuilding became popular and weightlifting coaches began to offer personalised training programs. In the 1990s and 2000s, personal training became an established profession with a variety of certification programs and professional organisations. The American Council on Exercise was established in 1993, and the National Academy of Sports Medicine, NASM, was found in 1997. The present day? Well, if you ever spoke to a granny about what personal training is, maybe you've told a family member that you want to become a personal trainer, and this is what you get. What your family see when you tell them you want to become a PT. It's like you've got two heads, especially the older generation. They don't understand what personal training is. Some of them think it's a phase that you're going through. Some of them are supportive. Some of them try to be supportive, but actually they're hating the fact that their precious child should have become the next big thing in the law firm, maybe should have become an accountant, maybe should become a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, whatever it might be. But personal training was last on their list. So despite it being around for ancient times, technically, owning a fitness business is still very new. So let's look at the 2010s to present. We had functional training and HIIT, which is high intensity interval training, and functional training gained popularity for their efficiency and effectiveness. CrossFit, which was founded in 2000, became a global phenomenon by emphasising varied functional movements performed at high intensity. You've now got high rocks and these other types of things. During that time, we also saw the fitness revolution, which was the rise in smartphones and wearable technology that revolutionised the fitness industry. Apps like streaming services and platforms like Peloton allowed people to access high quality fitness content from home. Then there was the focus on holistic health and wellness, and there's been a shift towards a more holistic approach to fitness, integrating mental well-being, nutrition, and overall lifestyle. Mind-body practices like yoga and meditation have now become mainstream. Then we had the impact of COVID-19. What did that do to the fitness industry? The pandemic drastically accelerated the adoption of virtual fitness. We had no other choice. Gyms and fitness businesses had to pivot quickly to offer online classes, remote coaching, and digital memberships. This period also saw a surge in home gym equipment sales. Now we have the current trends and the future. Hybrid models, so combining in-person and virtual experiences to cater to a broader audience. This comes down to personalisation, so leveraging data and AI to offer personalised fitness programs. And then sustainability. Integrating eco-friendly practices into business models. And lastly, community. Fostering a strong sense of community, both online and offline, especially post-COVID-19. So with all that said, why is there such a worrying success rate for personal trainers? And here's that success rate, or should I say lack of success. Industry figures state that 80% of personal trainers don't stay in the industry past 2 years. Yet 25% of the UK are obese and 38% are overweight. So if we lose the people who are on the front line to help people lose weight, the obesity and overweight crisis or pandemic only gets worse. Now, these personal trainers, fitness business owners, they don't leave because they're not good at what they do or because they don't enjoy it. It's because no one has shown them how to run an actual business. And if they can't run a business, they can't help people, and they'll leave the industry. So, I'm not sure if you're aware, you might think back to your personal training course. You might be watching this, having never done it, thinking about getting in the industry. But how many exam-marked modules do you think are in the personal training qualification? You're about to run a business. The personal training qualification certification have to put a certain criteria across for you to answer it, for you to qualify and make sure that you're fit and able to run a fitness business. So how many modules are in the certification? The answer is 0, which is clearly a huge concern. The thing is, there's no shortage of new PTs joining the industry. The industry's booming. Social media paints this picture that the fitness industry is on a rapid rise of growth, and it is, which is why so many people are involved in fitness now. They are going through a massive transformational journey themselves, so it makes perfect sense to think, I could do this for a career. Now, it's not about how many people are joining, it's about how many people are leaving. And let's face it, you pretty much can't fail the personal trainer qualification. Anyone can pass. So the barrier of entry is extremely low, so that doesn't help. And this is the thing as well, once you've qualified, you're not in any way obligated to upskill. No one's going to chap your door in 6 months and say, hey, have you done another CPD? Have you added more skills to your arsenal to become a better business owner, a better coach? No one, no governing body, nothing is going to come and check on you. You can leave with that piece of paper, which, although it's worthless, you need it to actually start getting jobs in gyms and things like that and help people. That's all you have to do. And I've already mentioned, there is no business modules in these qualifications. So let's discuss why else personal trainers leave. And here's the top answers. Number 1 is financial awareness. Awareness around their finances. Typically you go from a job that pays you a salary, they handle tax, national insurance, they pay you a set salary, they give you shifts, they give you tasks, you show up, you do the job. So then, as soon as you qualify as a personal trainer, remember, there is no business modules in these qualifications. So you have no financial awareness. You know how to do some exercise in the gym. You know how to help people do those exercises, potentially safely and effectively. But remember, you're running a business and you don't have any financial awareness. Number 2 is sales skills. So you don't actually know how to sell because you've never sold anything in your life. You might have even come from a sales background, but you were still working for a company, following an agenda. And even if you have been in a door-to-door sales approach or phoning people approach, it's not the same sales as it is selling to someone about their fitness. Now, with that in mind, think of people who are working in supermarkets. They're working in all these different industries. Yes, they're customer facing, but they don't teach you how to sell. And number 3 is marketing skills. So right before you make a sale, you need to be able to market yourself effectively. But the key thing is that as soon as someone qualifies as a personal trainer, they're underconfident. They don't have any sales skills, they don't have any business savvy. So trying to market themselves when they're underconfident, they haven't proved that what they do actually works. They've just dieted themselves or started being on their own transformational journey and did pretty well, but they don't know how to market themselves. They probably look at the word marketing as something that they see on TV ads and things like that. And number 4 is support. As I mentioned, there is no obligation for you when you qualify to go away and learn more skills. There is also no one coming to save you. There is no support for you to grow your business. If you have any questions, there is no one to ask. You're going to have to make Google and YouTube your best friend, unless you go and seek business support. But there is no guarantee, there is no obligation for providers who give you a qualification to go away after a 2-3 month cooling off period to make sure you're set up and to make sure you have a job. Yes, some of the qualifiers will get you job interviews for certain gyms, but the only reason they've set that up is because these gyms are dying to hire people. Because back to my first point of this whole talk, is that so many people are leaving, so they have to fill those gaps. Next is expectation management. So you have heard a success story from someone down the road or in your city who has become a personal trainer and is making really good money. They show up to the gym, help people lift weights, they have no boss, they make a good few £1,000 a month, and it looks amazing. So then your expectations of you going into this career are mismanaged because the key thing, context, you don't understand their skill set, you don't understand how they've hit the ground running. So a lot of personal trainers leave the industry because their expectations aren't managed well enough. They are looking at the highlight reel of social media and they hear a couple of success stories and they think, okay, this is the path to success. So their expectations are skewed from the get-go. Number 6 is work ethic, which I think a lot of people forget. Like, just because you can become a personal trainer, you have to have work ethic. And I'm still debating whether or not you can actually teach work ethic. I'm still thinking that work ethic is something you're born with, something that you wake up every day and you've got it engraved in you because you know that no one's coming to save you, so you know you have to work hard. And number 7 is you got it in. Some coaches and personal trainers, they get in it for the wrong reasons. They think, this is going to be easy. I love lifting weights. I love posting pictures of me, tops off, in gym wear. I love going to the gym. I love eating healthy. So this is the perfect career for me. Or some people get in it for the money. Like I said, they see these success stories and they think, yep, I want that amount of money and I want to work on a laptop online, all these different countries. So they get in it for the wrong reasons and not the right reasons, which I'll come to later. So I've actually got the real reason. Now these reasons are all pretty valid, as I've made a case for, but I think there's one real reason why they leave the industry, which I'm going to cover and I'll share soon. So let's spend a bit more time talking about qualifying as a personal trainer. What actual options are available to you? So to tell you this, I'll take you back to when I was a personal trainer and when I qualified. So I qualified as a personal trainer, excited as you do, thinking this is it. This is the change of career I needed. And I qualified at 25. So I was a bit later compared to most these days. Most people are qualifying 21, 22. A lot quicker. There's a lot more of help out there available. When I qualified, I had a few interviews set up by the company who qualified me. And when I say interviews set up, it was people from different gyms and different companies coming to see the people who qualified, me and the rest of the students. And they basically pitched their gym, pitched their setup. There's a number of different setups that gyms and smaller companies provide, whether it's they hire you and you do shift work, whether they don't hire you but they manipulate it slightly so that you have to pay rent but they give you some money back and then you have to clear the balance type thing. Now, at the risk of giving you jargon, I promise not to give you any jargon, so I'm not going to go into the finer details with it, but for me, when I qualified, I picked a gym, I went in there, I had to provide classes for the gym. That's why I'm wearing the uniform here, as you can see. But in exchange of doing classes for them, doing some cleaning, speaking to their members, helping their members on the gym floor, I was able to run my own business. A business that was entirely up to me. I had to register it, I had to pay tax for it, I had to do my books, all that stuff. The only say they had was, in my diary, was that this is when you're going to do shifts. Now, I'm not going to go on here because this presentation could go really long, but there's a lot of pros and cons to different things. You have private facilities where it'll be a more laid-back approach, less corporate, where they'll let you wear your own clothes, they'll get you in, You don't have to commit to anything. You just have to pay them £300, £400, £500, £600, £700 rent, where you can then just do your business. Now, the problem with these private gyms and smaller independent gyms is that they have way less members, less footfall, so less people to come in and see you, which then in turn means that you've got less people to connect with, build rapport, and sign up and become a client. Now, these kind of corporate gyms, like your Pure Gyms, The Gym, JD Gym, all this sort of thing, they may not look as cool in the front end. You have to wear the uniform when you're on shift. But they have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 members available to you. So for me, that was the option that drew me in. So I got a job there. I knew that I could use my customer service experience from the past to transition in. I had no clue about running a business because, as you know, there was no modules on the certification. So I had to learn by just speaking to people. And I realised very quickly that customer service was actually the key. And I had worked in customer service for 10 years. So all I had to do was just apply customer service to people. I didn't have to think that I knew the most about training or nutrition. In fact, that was actually 5th or 6th of the most important things that you have to do. First and foremost was to provide good customer service. So I struggled for the first 2 to 3 years because although I was starting to pick up clients, I just did not have a clue how to run a business, and it actually didn't feel great. So if you can imagine a similar world here where you go to the gym for 2 or 3 years and you don't know how to lift weights and you feel like people are watching you. So that's what it's like running a personal training business, not knowing how to run a business, because clients are trying to pay you money, you're trying to manage their sessions, you're trying to give them resources, but it's all over the place and it's embarrassing. And I'll tell you a story that was the final nail in the head for me. Was I had no systems, I had no way of running a business. The only way you pick things up is if you're in the locker room and you hear other PTs mention things, because God forbid you actually ask for help when you've got an ego. So I actually sold a client 12 sessions. I had a terrible way of tracking it. I used my phone and just put a number next to their name. And one day she turned to me and said, "Chris, I think I owe you money for the next block of sessions." And I said, "Okay, let me check." And I checked it. And it turns out that that client was 4 sessions into a new block. And this wasn't that I had so much money that I forgot to charge her. It was because I was so underconfident with the running of the business that she was 4 sessions in and I was too embarrassed to tell her. So I turned to her and I said, "Right, that was the last one of the last 12. The new one starts next week." So I started it afresh because I didn't have the nerve to tell her that I couldn't run a business and I didn't know how to track things. So then when I picked up a bunch of clients, I was doing pretty well, but that feeling never left me. And I actually applied to be an assistant manager in the gym. And it wasn't because I wasn't doing well personal training. It was because the idea that clients could just leave me tomorrow, the idea that clients were sometimes you'd get a wave of people joining, you'd get a whole ton of people leaving. I couldn't handle that volatility. So I applied to be an assistant manager in the gym. And I actually never got the job, which when I think back to now, it was 18 grand a year, and let's just say I make a lot more than that now. So I'm glad. But that was a turning point for me because it said to myself, right, you've just been knocked back for an assistant manager position. It's time to go and learn business. And that's what I did. Now, there's other personal trainers out there who take a different path. And after those 2 or 3 years, they just quit and they go back to what they know. Even a personal trainer making £3,000, £4,000 a month, they still feel safer making £1,600 or £1,800 employed, and that's because they know they're going to get it every month. Whereas the volatility of your income fluctuating doesn't feel great, of course. Not to mention going on holiday, not getting paid, all these types of things. Now, times have changed. These things are fixed now if you've listened to the right support. So moral of the story is that it's down to you to survive, and it's down to you to find solutions to these challenges. And here they are. Challenges you're going to come across. Number 1 is lead generation and actually attracting clients. Next is creating content and having an online presence. If you remember what I said post COVID-19, the online presence, the online boom is here. And if you don't have a presence online, this goes for any business, then you will be left behind. You need to know how to build an online coaching program and to create client engagement. Because if your clients aren't engaged, they don't show up. And when they don't show up, they don't do the thing. And when they don't do the thing, they don't get the result. Next is competition and pricing. So as much as all these other business coaches out there might say to you that you're not in competition with anyone. At the end of the day, if you work in a gym, you'll start to see very, very quickly that you are in competition, because all you have to do is wait for an email coming in from a gym member and speak to a couple of coaches, personal trainers, and I guarantee you 2 or 3 of them have also had that same email sent to them, because the customer / prospect is shopping on price. Now, if that isn't competition, I don't know what is. Then we need to look at pricing. You know, what a lot of personal trainers do when they qualify, they go into a gym, they listen, and they ask other personal trainers, how much are you charging? How long have you been doing this for? 5 years? How much do you charge? X amount. How long have you been doing this for? Just a year. And sometimes they go right in the middle and they go in that average rate and they kind of place themselves in that position. Now, I'll tell you a story about pricing. When I worked in Pure Gym, I'd heard personal trainers tell me how much they charged. And for some reason, I just never believed them. Again, a lot of personal trainers have a big ego. They get ahead of themselves a little bit. And so I decided to send an email out to Pure Gyms across Glasgow. 5 different gyms, 25 personal trainers in total. And I've made a fake email. And I said, hey, I'd just love to know how much your personal training is. And the emails I got back from some of these personal trainers was ridiculous. Some of them manipulating their prices to the point if you bought 12 sessions, 16 sessions, 18 sessions, it went down as low as £15 an hour, which goes to show that there's a personal trainer sitting there somewhere struggling to grow their business, but the last thing they do is devalue their service or devalue their time by lowering it. And yet there's other personal trainers out there who look like they've got a full diary, but they're operating at 15 quid an hour. And that's the key takeaway nowadays, is like, the key thing is context, and you do not know all the information. And today I'm not going to cover comparison and comparing yourself to other people, but just know that what you see on social media, what you hear in the gym that you're working in, isn't always true. Next is making sales and converting leads. Now, this is a popular topic. At the end of the day, a business has to make sales. Of course it does. And the whole industry, as I was discussing a little bit, is going all the way down making sales. It's the big, big thing, and it's putting a lot of people off. But at the end of the day, a business needs to make sales and needs to know how to convert leads. And if you remember, a gap in a personal trainer who just qualifies his arsenal is, of course, selling, as we spoke about. Next is niche and target audience identification. So who do you actually want to help? Now, when you qualify, you want to help everybody because you're not fussy, which is great. But over time, you're going to get to a point where there's only certain people that you can actually help. And I'm not going to get into this today, but if you're not getting inquiries and if no one's signing up, the chances are you're speaking to the wrong people. Next is time management, burnout, and work-life balance. As you've seen from the last presentation, the last picture of me, when I was deep into burnout phase as a personal trainer, I probably look a bit younger now than I did then, which was 4 or 5 years ago. Next is building authority and a reputation that can go from being the go-to guy or girl in your city or your gym, even through to just, okay, the members actually know me in the gym. And lastly, client retention and engagement, which is pretty simple. For all the want of sell in the world, you can't keep selling if your back door's open and people are leaving. So you need to know how to retain clients. So if you're watching this as a personal trainer, I'd recommend you take a picture of the screen, because if you can chip away at this stuff, you'll start to do well. But as I said before, there's one thing way more important than all of this. The truth is, there's a lot of help out there to solve these problems. It's never been better. There's a lot of noise out there for you to get help. And they're called mentorships. But before I explain what a mentorship is, let's look at services that solve only one of these problems. So let's pick one of them, which is lead generation and attracting clients. So from left here, their focus is to help you with lead generation and attracting clients. The service looks a bit like this. It's an ad agency who runs ads for you. It's an appointment setting company who go in and set appointments for you. Maybe it's a content agency who provides content for you, posts it for you on your behalf, and then you try and get lead gen from it and eventually clients. Now, the problem with this, of course, is that they miss all of the other stuff. All the other stuff here that's in red. So it's a single focused service for a personal trainer. Next is creating content and online presence. The service is typically viral content services or courses done for you content companies. So they say to you, look, we're going to create all your content on all the platforms. We're going to try and match your brand voice, and we're going to distribute all this content for you. Or they're going to teach you the latest strategies on going viral. Now again, here's what they don't do. All of this stuff in red here that I've mentioned. So they only focus on one thing. Next is those who focus on client retention and engagement, which is great. It's an important piece. And these services typically look like client results and adherence focused. They're usually positioned as just be a good coach and the clients will come. They literally only help clients or personal trainers to communicate better with their clients. One part of the business. And look at all the stuff that they don't do in red. Look, at the end of the day, any help is good. But with limited cash flow, it's not practical to invest a lot to acquire one skill. And these things aren't cheap. And that's where mentorships were born. So this is my definition of a fitness business mentorship. It's a service that is run in a group format. The founder will create and share videos to teach a group of clients. The clients won't have specific one-to-one help unless it's with a member of the founder's team. They will all share the same strategies that has worked for that founder of that company. It's a stack 'em high type of service. There's usually 200 to 300 in that service at the exact same time. And these services can be anywhere from £300 to £700 a month. And just a side note, if you're advised to take out a £4,000, £5,000, £6,000 loan to join one of these things, run. So mentorships, this is all the problems they try to solve. So you've got the single sole focus services who are just trying to solve one problem, whereas mentorships are trying to solve all of this. But here's the problem, or at least one of them. You have one person, usually the founder, who is speaking to 200 to 300 people at the same time. Now the problem with that is that when it comes time for one of those people to ask a question about their business or to bounce ideas off, their voice is unheard, they're unseen, to the point the founder or the person running it doesn't get to hear it. Even to the point that they don't even get to speak to you. So what happens? They advise the 200 to 300 people to speak to each other. Now I don't know about you, but for £4,000, £5,000, £6,000, not to speak to the person that you want to, it's not ideal. And also to get their own clients to solve problems. And if you remember and you think back to school, when you think back to when you were in school and the teacher's trying to teach 20, 30 class members, students, using the exact same strategies, whether that's visual learning, whether it's verbal, I don't know about you, but how the hell can 20 to 30 students learn the exact same way? So let's summarise the current mentorships that are out there in the fitness business space in 2024. You've got the ones that is pretty much like a game of Where's Wally, where you're just another number in a group. As I mentioned, 200 to 300 people, personal trainers, in the one group. It's almost impossible for you to be seen or heard. And it's also impossible for the business to understand exactly where you're at and what you need as a person and a business owner. Then you've got the other ones who kind of sell you the Dubai lifestyle. Now, these are the ones that will go out to Dubai, they'll have events there, they will rent expensive things in order to portray this successful lifestyle and for you to buy into that lifestyle. Because if you buy into that lifestyle, you then buy into them and you give them money. Now, this has grown rapidly over the years and you'll probably find 3 or 4 or 5 of these mentorships out there in Dubai. Nothing against Dubai, it's just the people out there. It's the perfect place to portray success, or at least what you think is success, until you actually grow up and realise what true success is. And then you've got the other crowd, which is a bit like sleazy people standing at a bar, always messaging people. Now, I've nothing against sending DMs because it's a business strategy, but you've probably received DMs from the business coach. And if you've received those types of DMs from that business coach, then there's a good chance they're going to teach you that exact same strategy to do it for your business. And these people will even hire people, whether it's from VAs, virtual assistants from the Philippines, appointment setters, and they will plug them into your business and pretty much ruin your reputation by just messaging as many people as they can and trying to sell to them to join your business. Or they'll teach you how to do it. Then there's the other ones who will show you Stripe screenshots. Now, essentially, Stripe is just a payment gateway where you can literally Google it. And as you see here, I've Googled Stripe screenshots, and I can pull any one of these. I mean, I could pull one of these images, put it in Canva, cover some things up, change the dollar to pound, and I can, manipulate client wins. And by doing so, you think that I get results, you join my program under a false pretense. And unfortunately, these are rife, these Stripe screenshots, because you're scrolling your feed on Instagram, you're sitting there probably a bit frustrated as I was for the first 3 years of personal training. I sat there, couldn't grow my business, clients are leaving, I check on my phone and I see some personal trainer who, honestly, how the hell are they making that money? How the hell have they got that much money or have they hit that success? I look at their socials, and I'm like, doesn't match up. And more often than not, these Stripe screenshots are out of context. And they sell you a lie. And then you either make yourself feel terrible about it, compare yourself, leave the industry, make yourself feel useless, or you go, okay, I need to pay those people because they can do that for me. And you'll notice in these Stripe screenshots that there is zero context to the person. Now, a perfect example of this is like, someone's making 20k a month, and I post about it, and you go, wow. You think of your situation, and you go, 20k? Do you know what that could do for my life? Maybe you're making 10k. Maybe you're making 1k, and it's a 5k screenshot. What you don't realize is that 20k is actually a gym that's got overheads of 15k and members of staff. And the gym owner, once all was told, tax and VAT, they're probably pulling home £1,200 a month if they're lucky. Now, this is the thing that I want you to always think about when it comes to viewing any statistic when it comes to personal training is the key thing is context. And if the thing you're reading doesn't have context, then I'd probably question why. Next is the crowd that get you just to sell and sell like the Wolf of Wall Street and charge something like $997 up front. Typically the buzzword of the industry is $997. Now, there's nothing wrong with charging a certain amount of money. However, if you've got no real experience, no proof to back up that your service actually gets a result yet, what they'll do, these mentorships, is they'll teach you how to sell at that price by using certain language, by potentially making your prospect feel terrible on the call so that they feel so terrible they have to give you money. And the reason I've used this image here is like it's feast or famine. Now, we get a lot of personal trainers and online coaches come to us off the back of these mentorships. In fact, because we're a newer company, we tend to only get that now. And it's unfortunate because they come with scars, either in debt, paying off a loan, or this. And this image represents feast or famine months, where 1 month you get 4 sales, you collect 4k, just shy, and you think, I'm the dog's bollocks here. That's when you get the more expensive car, or you put the plan in motion to get a mortgage, you speak to a mortgage advisor. Next month you don't get a sale, and you feel like you've just lost 4k because you haven't got a sale. And that's not the way to run a business. And that's why, that's another reason so many personal trainers are leaving. They see a Stripe screenshot, they think this is possible. They may even get it, which I'm going to discuss later. Next month, the month after, when they become a number in a group, they can't do it anymore. And then the next crowd, which is the one person band mentor, and I put mentor in quotes here. And some of these coaches still actually coach fat loss clients. Can you believe that? And rule number 1 of business is actually focus on one thing, focus on one business. And yet, at 7 o'clock in the morning, they're telling Tracy that she needs to cut her calories to push past her fat loss phase. 12 o'clock in the afternoon, they're telling John, to post more on social media or to focus on his business. And yet they're using your money as a side hustle. and you're parting with all that money. And it's funny, the reason I put this picture together with all those problems that we mentioned is this one person's dealing with all your problems. Lead gen, content creation. We've already highlighted that certain industries, certain companies can only do one at a time. How the hell is a one-man band or a one-woman band going to do all of these struggles whilst they're still doing other things? Even if they weren't doing other things, how are they going to deal with all this themselves as a mentorship? And that's why they stack them high and just share the same tactics to every one of them so they can be time effective. And then you have the 6, 7, 8 figure club where, and I've put a confused person here because it's like, I just don't know what's next. It'll be 9 figures next, and I don't even think some of them even know what it means. And again, there's a lot of context applied here. We've helped gyms go to multiple 6 figures, but it sure as hell ain't multiple 6 figures in profit. And remember, revenue is vanity, which is what a lot of people do in the Dubai lifestyle. They want that vanity, revenue figures. Profit is sanity. Profit's the thing that you take home and you can be sane. You can say to your partner, you can say to your family, look, this is where we're at. And that's when you can build a life on. You can't build life on revenue. So full transparency here, I have actually been part of these types of mentorships. And I have got success, but I had no one-to-one calls. Never got to speak to the founder. You know when I did speak to the founder? Before I signed up, when they were trying to sign me up. But I am in the minority, to be honest. And that's not to say that I'm special. It's because the sheer volume of people that I've spoke to over the last 3 years proves that I'm in the minority. And it's also the sheer volume of people that come to me and my team and tell me these things. It's like the classroom. When you think back to school, there was always 2 to 3, 4 top performers because they were able to learn that way. Plus, they just had that drive to learn. And that's the thing. There's a lot of quick success. You will often see, very much like transformation style coaching, you will see quick success with these types of mentorships. It's the same with fat loss. If you drop someone's calories, tell them to move in the first 30 days, and you are extreme with them, they will get quick success. But what about the 60 days after that? The 90 days, the 180 days, which you don't often hear about. So just like fat loss and a juice cleanse, it's unsustainable. Even though they say they cover all of this, they don't actually do a very good job of it. Now they market to it, but most of it's pretty average. And in fact, all they really focus on when you look at it is lead gen and attracting clients. So we've discussed skills that need to be improved in order to grow the business. But even when those skills are acquired, it's not enough. So what's the missing piece of the jigsaw? And how do we fix this? How do we fix this staggering statistic? Because if we don't fix it, this number goes up. So I was here racking my brains trying to identify how I could fix it. And what was funny was all I could think about is the stack 'em high mentorship mentality and tactic because I'd been part of it. And all I was thinking about was those same struggles and how to fix them. So then I obsessed over the question, what do personal trainers actually need to grow a long-term sustainable business? So I thought back to me, what did I want as I stood here taking this photo? Was it a Lamborghini? Definitely not. I grew up in this house here from a working class background. So I didn't want a Lamborghini. I just wanted to be the first person in my family to actually buy a house, get a mortgage. And I also just wanted to help people, which is what I started to do once I got the knack of it. And then I started to help even more people, open my gym, things like that. But I've already mentioned, wanting to help people isn't enough. It's only one part of it. So I asked my market, I asked 170 personal trainers anonymously. And the reason I asked them anonymously was the stuff I've mentioned before, ego, how they think they should act. Because if I asked them with their name there, they would have just said stuff that they've heard or stuff that they think they should say. So I asked them anonymously, that way I could get the truth. And I got the answers, and I was both buzzing, but also my head was hurting, and I did not know what step to take next. And I got the answers. Drum roll. And here's the answers, and this is quotes from the clients. I just want stability. I want to stop worrying about money, and I want to be in a position to look after my family. I want my leads and income to be predictable. So what part of all this, all these struggles, which part of all of this covers it? The things that every other fitness business coach had been focusing on. And that was the £1 million question. Why hadn't these mentorships set up to provide that? Why had they set up to provide everything else but stability, predictability, and safety? Because that's all I wanted here. So that's when I began my search to find the best way to build predictable, safe and secure fitness businesses. Then it came to this, the most expensive thing ever built, the mother of all construction projects. People on earth worry about how to keep water out of a house. Imagine what the engineers had to worry about when building this monstrosity, the International Space Station. It cost $100 billion and it took years to build. You have to maintain the atmosphere control systems, oxygen levels, check redundancies and safety features, repair damage. And of course, if you forget a tool or a part, you can't just run to your local supply shop. You have to call up another rocket ship. Now I know that might seem extreme, but honestly, solving this mystery for fitness businesses was kind of like my space station. Innovation is seeing what everybody has seen and thinking what nobody has thought. And that was the case for me. All these fitness business mentorships and coaches before me, how could they not have seen this? And that's the whole point of innovation, because you have to look at other angles, you have to do other things. And truthfully, the answer was monthly recurring revenue. Stability. How could I get stability? To get paid consistently, to create stability, recur. Predictability. Get paid in a predictable way, recurring. And stability plus predictability equals safety. Then of course I doubted myself. How could all of this crowd miss this? How could they miss monthly recurring revenue? And I just kept coming back to this. 175 personal trainers anonymously asked and answered, and this was the outcome. And these other programs, coaches, mentorships, had just not asked enough. Then I went all in. I created the first and only monthly recurring revenue agency. We solely focus on stacking monthly recurring revenue for our clients to install stability, predictability, and safety. And because I've done that, I've been able to build my dream life. And now we have an agency with 5 full-time members of staff. We have 150 active clients, and we've been able to book things like stadiums and fill these big events. We've been able to 2x, 3x, and 4x our clients' monthly recurring revenue. So what our agency does, basically in a nutshell, is give you stability in your life, give you fulfillment. When you actually take time off, you don't stress, you don't panic. You're not on holiday or other places just thinking about work and not enjoying it, not being present. We help our coaches travel the world through their business, and ultimately we help them reach life goals. So if you're a personal trainer, online coach, gym owner, yoga instructor, wellness, therapist, whatever it is, I urge you to choose monthly recurring revenue. Choose stability, choose predictability, and choose safety in your business. I never got the tattoo on my thigh for nothing. And that's what the Upgraded Coach is. The kings of monthly recurring revenue. With our 10 pillars, we're helping coaches, personal trainers build that stable and predictable and safe business. And as the t-shirt says, you spend money every day, so you should probably earn it every day. M&R is the vehicle to secure your and your family's future, your dream life, and therefore happiness and fulfillment.